Here's my first question. Where does sickness come from? How do we get ill?
Germs.
Germs. What else?
We do sick.
We do sick is right. But germs is the majority of the public is going to guess that germs and bad luck. I got unlucky that I just got sick. That's what people say. I just got sick. I got the cold. I caught the cold. I caught the flu. How do you catch the cold or catch the flu? We're going to talk about that. You don't catch it. It's what you do in your lifestyle. So germs. That's what a lot of people think. What a lot of people guess that germs cause disease, or that it's bad luck. It's bad luck. I just got sick. Or that disease just happens. It just is something that we're unfortunate and it just happens to us. And that's not true. So Louis Pasteur, that's where I start with my talk when we're talking about immune system. We got to talk about the germ theory. That's who coined this thing called the germ theory. His name was Louis Pasteur. And his belief was that germs from the outside world invade our bodies and cause disease. So when he was studying microbiology and microorganisms, he said that the germs from the outside world invade our bodies and cause disease. It's true, right? And that's what we think. That's what the majority of our society thinks, that germs cause disease. Think again. The germ theory. So it's called a theory. It's not law. Like gravity is law. Gravity happens. If you drop something 9.6 meters per second, it falls to the ground. It is law. It does that. This is a theory. A theory that's been hanging its hat on this medicine's been hanging its hat on this theory for hundreds of years. So before Louis Pasteur, there was a gentleman named Pierre Beechcamp, and he was a professor at the School of Pharmacy and the Faculty of Science in Strasbourg, and later a professor of medical chemistry and pharmacy at the University of Montpellier. And he is the first one that discovered microorganisms and proved their existence 6 years prior to Pasteur's postulated this germ theory thing. So there was somebody that discovered microorganisms before Louis Pasteur. We just don't hear about Beechcamp because he just wasn't a very good marketer. He didn't get his discussion out there. Not only did Pasteur's germ theory plagiarize Beechcamp's work, but it perverted it by making us believe that germs are out there and ready to attack our healthy bodies at any moment, and we are powerless to stop them. Pasteur missed the boat entirely. This is not the case. We're not just this weak creature walking through life and that we're ready at any moment for these germs to attack us because we got sneezed on or touched or rubbed or touched money or sat next to somebody on a plane, and that's what caused my disease because I became exposed to this germ. Germ theory. Beechcamp showed that what's important is the terrain. So he said it's not the seed, it's the soil. For us to get grass seed to grow in the spring, you have to have the proper conditions of soil. You can't just throw grass seed on the soil and expect it to grow. You need to condition that soil, rake it around, get the seeds in there, water it. The conditions have to be right for germination. Germination is a word as that seed germinates and turns into grass. The environment inside your body, not the germs themselves, is the important thing. Unfortunately, Beechcamp was not as good at marketing as Pasteur, so Pasteur's germ theory, not law, theory, is what we are taught today, and medicine still hangs their hat on this germ theory today. Germ theory. Pasteur himself admitted on his deathbed that Beechcamp was right by stating, the microbe is nothing, the terrain is everything. It's the condition of the person, the condition of the environment. Everything comes down to an ecosystem, the balance within the system. And if it's not balanced, then you are setting yourself up for a state of dis-ease. So this was taken from Pasteur Plagiarist Imposter by R.B. Pierce in 1942. Maggots. So here we go with my talk about germ theory, and just to make you think about different things a different way. Let's say you've never been in Iowa before, and it's your first time in Iowa, and it's fall time, and we're going to go for a little drive, and we get in the car, and we drive down towards Winterset, and there's a dead deer on the side of the road. And you think, oh, what's that? And I say, well, that's a dead deer. and let's stop to investigate. So we stopped to investigate this deer, and you kick it and turn it over, and there's like maggots and all these scavengers on the bottom side of this deer, and they're eating up this deer. And you would think, your conclusion could be, oh my gosh, these maggots killed this deer. But that's not the story. The maggots didn't kill the deer. What happened is the Mack truck killed the deer, and the maggots are eating up the wasted tissue. And so that's what they are, is they're scavengers, and they're eating up the wasted tissue because there was already a weakness. The deer was killed by the truck, and so the maggots are eating up the dead deer. Does that make sense? I mean, they're scavengers. What about rats? So in, let's say, hold on, make sure I'm in the right spot. New York City, when they have trash strikes, and the trash men go on strike and are not picking up the trash, and the trash builds up on the sidewalk along the streets. And I've never been in New York City before, but let's say I was there during a trash strike, and I was walking and there was all kinds of rats because of all this trash. Well, what I could say is, or conclude is, oh my, these rats have brought this trash. We know that's not true. The rats are scavengers, and they're there because of the trash, right? That's how common sense we need to think about this condition when we think about the condition of our body, and when we think about germ theory as far as Louis Pasteur and Beach Camp. And it's not the seed, it's the soil. It's the terrain. The terrain, the environment has to be there first. If you get rid of the trash, when the trash men come back on to work and they get rid of the trash, the rats go away, right? Or you could go while they're on trash strike and you could kill all the rats, but guess what? There's more rats are going to come back because it still has this trash environment. Infectious. So then there's this other dude. His name's Robert Koch. And the classical criteria for determining whether a disease is infectious is caused by a particular microbe are called the Koch's postulates. Introduced by Robert Koch, they still form the scientific basis against which all diseases are evaluated. One of his postulates says if germs cause disease, then in any germ-caused disease, the following must be true. The germ must be capable of producing the same disease when a new host is infected with the microbe. In a series of experiments conducted in 1921 with 62 volunteer Navy personnel, researchers attempted to cause the flu infection using every possible method. 1921, so this was after the 1918 big flu epidemic. So they're doing a study, and Koch's postulate said that the same condition needs to be repeated every time. So injections of blood from active influenza cases, spraying infectious germs into the volunteers' throats and on their food, swabbing their nose with the infectious germs. Do you think they should get the flu if they did all this to them? Mm-hmm. If we're going to get it by sitting next to somebody at work or sitting next to somebody on the plane, do you think they should have had a pretty good outcome of this? No appreciable reactions resulted. It's not the seed, it's the soil. It's the environment of the body at the time. It's the ecosystem, the balance within the body, the power within the body that allows it to become diseased or not diseased. If specific germs cause specific diseases, then they should cause those diseases and only those diseases every time they are injected into the body. Another one of Koch's postulates. A cause must be constant and specific in its influence, or it's not a cause. Was it specific? Was it constant in the Navy guys? No. Why do you think we have a flu season? Why do you think the flu has a season? What's your guesses? Do you think there is such a thing as a flu season? That's what they tell us, right, on the radio and on the newspapers. When is the flu season? Wintertime. Specifically, you think later, like January through February? Maybe? Wintertime.
On the holidays when everybody gets together.
Sure. So, right, so why do you think that is? Why do you think the flu happens during the wintertime?
Because you're inside, you're not outside. You're not getting sun, you're not getting exercise, and you're eating a lot of
What if I lived in Miami? Do I get sun or no sun?
You get sun.
What if I live in Key Largo? What if I live in Key West? Do I get sun or no sun?
You get sun.
So why would you say that it's no sunshine?
I'm
Why would I?
in winter.
Well,
I mean,
we
I'm
live in
thinking
Iowa.
here. I'm thinking, yeah.
So does the flu only affect Iowa?
No.
Does it affect everywhere?
Yeah.
Does the pharmaceutical company and the government tell everybody in the whole United States to get a flu shot? Or just the people in Iowa?
Everything.
Oh, weird.
Weird.
Wow, because if it only happens in the cold,
Right,
and only when we're indoors,
right.
well, why do they need it? Do people in Phoenix, in Miami, in Key West get the flu?
Don't know.
Yes.
Well, don't you think? Yes.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, otherwise, why wouldn't everybody move to if everybody's so scared of the flu and have to get their flu shot, why don't we just all go, it'd be nice, huh? All winter in Miami or Key West to avoid the flu.
Yeah.
What are the other reasons we get the flu? Just give me your guesses and let's kind of blow this up a little bit. Yeah?
I think because we get worn down through all the activity of the holidays and rushing and not
So are we,
eating
but we
right.
don't, we're not active in the summertime? Are we not outside and playing golf
Yeah,
and
but the
gardening?
holidays
and-
create a certain amount of stress.
You're right, and that's part of the story. So
Yeah.
here's what, let's start with this. Here's my thought, parts of my thought of this flu season. So we're just kind of blowing up this theory, everybody's theory and the stuff that's out there about why we have this flu season. My opinion is it starts with Halloween. Halloween happens the end of October.
Sugar.
Sugar. Is sugar very toxic for the body, yes or no?
Yes.
Is sugar very acidic to the body, yes or no?
Yeah.
So that creates an inflammatory process within the body. So then Halloween, and then what's the next holiday after Halloween?
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
What do you eat for Thanksgiving?
Pie.
Pie.
What else?
Green
Mashed
beans.
potatoes.
There might be one token vegetable on that table, but the rest of it is very, very acidic and very, very toxic to the body. So you have
And
sweet
loaded with-
potatoes and
with-
mashed potatoes and gravy and stuffing and turkey.
And
And
all
do you
the
eat a little
good
bit or
stuff.
do you eat a lot of it?
A lot of
You eat a lot of it until you cannot move. And then when you cannot move, someone says, who's got room for seconds, right?
Or pie.
Or pie. But that's after you take your nap. And then you wake up and who wants the pie? And you have pie. And then you crash because your body's been overtaxed with all this food. And you take your nap. And then you wake up, and then what do you have? You know, you have your
Turkey
6
sandwich.
seconds, and you have your turkey sandwich, and you have more coffee, and that's more acid, and more toxicity, and more inflammatory nutrients for the body, okay? And so then that's on a Thursday, right? Is that when Thanksgiving happens on Thursday? So on Friday, is that when everybody starts their cleanse? No. What happens on Friday?
Well,
There's more
leftovers.
leftovers.
Or you go
And there's
to-
more turkey sandwich and there's more acid. And then does everybody go out and do their run and start their, get their exercise in? Or do they watch football and hang with
No, they go
relatives
shopping.
and go shopping because it's
They-
black, it's the Fridays, is that what they call it? The Black Friday or
Yeah.
they go shopping. And so then when they're out shopping, do you think the majority of people are stopping at the salad bar and eating the salad, or you think the majority of them are stopping at the cookie place and the Cold Stone and getting their ice cream and getting their cookies? It's a very, very toxic time of year that we've set up through society for what we eat as we gather and go through this time. And so then after Thanksgiving, right, we didn't start our cleanse and we didn't start our exercise program, and we roll into December. December, a month of stress. Do you know that more people die of heart attacks in the month of December than any other month in the year? It's a proven fact. You know why? Stress. So is it a very emotional time? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Do we have a lot of things coming up with people coming into town and things to think about, more mental and emotional stress? Yes or no?
Yes.
And so then we roll into Christmas, and then it's time to eat again. What are those nutrients like? What's that food like on the Christmas table? The same as it was during that Thanksgiving time? Very acidic, very toxic, very inflammatory. And then so Christmas comes, and then the 26th. Is that when people start their exercise program and their cleanse? No. So then what comes next? What's the next holiday after Christmas?
New Year's.
New Year's. What do people do on New Year's?
Make resolutions.
Well, before that. What do they do on New Year's
Oh,
Eve?
they drink.
They drink. When in Rome, do what the Romans do. They drink and they party. And is that, do you think that's cleansing for the body or extremely toxic and decay on the body?
More sugar.
More sugar. And then on New Year's Day, there's resolutions. But let's start before I get to New Year's Day. So with that, if you had a bucket and you started to pour crap in the bucket, and you poured and poured and poured until it got top of the bucket. When it gets to the top of the bucket, is it going to stay in or is it going to overflow? Is you put this toxicity in the body over these months of acid and mental stress and stress on the nervous system and inflammatory, very just omega-6, just nasty food. Don't you understand that when that flu season hits, isn't it like kind of January and February? Isn't that typically when the flu season is? Do you understand that that body's saying, no more, enough, I need to get this toxicity out? Is our body smart or stupid? Smart. Does your body want to regulate an ecosystem, an environment within your body that is healthy and thriving, or at least try to? Does everything your body does, it does for a reason? Yes? What are the symptoms of the flu? Puke, fever, diarrhea, shake, hallucinate, sweat, nose, congestion, cough, feel like death. That's the symptoms of a body trying to get the toxicity out that's been accumulated after all this time. It's not because we're indoors. It's not because we live in Iowa. It's not because it's cold. It's not because we're trapped and we're going outside. I mean, that has a little bit to do with it as well, as far as the equation of health, what we're supposed to do. Be well adjusted, keep the nervous system functioning right, eat cleansing, good quality foods, exercising. Is that happening from October to January? Not as much by some people, by majority of people. Especially the majority of people, when we talk about the majority of Americans, that are 68% overweight. Body's response. How does the body respond when you put poison in the bloodstream? It wants to find a balance. It wants to try to find a homeostasis. It needs to detoxify. And the body's responses are things like, just like we said, low energy, cough, headaches, joint pain, diarrhea, phlegm, fever, can't sleep, irregular breathing, pass out, faint. Does that sound like the flu? Or what people call the flu? I've been infected by the flu. These are symptoms. I mean, so again, you guys told me that everything the body does for a reason. Take fever, for example. Is fever good or bad?
Good.
Fever's good. Why? What's fever doing? It's trying to cook the bug, and it's going through a cleansing, and it's kicking in interferons, and it's kicking in all these other processes. Bacteria and viruses can't live in high temperature environments or cold environments. That's why we cook our food or keep it in the fridge. So when your body has a bug and it's toxic, it's trying to cook it by kick that fever, burns it up.
So when you have a fever, should you not take something to bring your
Correct.
fever down?
You're knocking out your own immune system. Everything your body does does for a reason. It coughs, it sneezes, it pukes, it diarrheas, it fevers, it does everything because it's trying to get the stuff out. Why would you take something to suppress your body's systems to keep the stuff in?
Because
that's
we're
what they
told
tell you
that
to
high
do.
fever is dangerous.
Yes, it can be dangerous.
That's why.
Yes, it can be dangerous. But you're also told that fever is bad, and you suppress the fever. Everything that the germ theory and medicine hangs their hat on is symptom suppressive. Treating the effects, not the cause. What caused the state in the first place? The lifestyle that was chosen probably over the last 3 to 4 months. It all comes down to choices and what we choose to put into our body. 4 sources of disease. Number 1, nerve impingement. Disconnects innate intelligence. Disconnects Mother Nature's wisdom to express herself. Disconnects brain to body connection. Every day we're either getting weaker or stronger. The only way we're getting stronger is if we have 100% brain-body connection. The only way we have 100% brain-body connection is if we have no subluxations. The only way you can have no subluxations is if you have your spine checked on a regular basis and have that nerve interference removed. If not, you are disconnected. There's an interference between brain and body, and your body is not functioning to its full potential. Cannot. Auto-intoxication. Consciously taking in poisons that destroy your body. How about an alcoholic? What if you take an alcoholic and you put him in the tank to detox him? What does he do? Hallucinate, sweat, puke, fever, don't feel very good? Do you put him back on the sauce? Or do you think that his body's trying to detoxify and get the stuff out? How about any other drug addict? What about people on the narcotics? The same thing. Why is it so hard for them to come off their drug? Because they go through these symptoms of their body trying to rebalance, and get rid of the toxicity. Maintain a diet that slowly builds up more poison in your system than you are able to eliminate. Our body has elimination systems through the bowel, through the sinuses, through the skin. And if you're putting the stuff in your bucket too fast that it's getting to that threshold and your body just can't deal with it, it uses every exit it has. I got to get this stuff out now. Why? Because your body's smart, not stupid, and survival and thriving is the most important thing. Create a bloodstream that's overly acidic. Chemical poisoning, alcohol, drugs, stuff like that. That's how you can create dis-ease, malfunction within a body, and physical rupture. So, like an accident. If I damage tissue, that tissue is sick, right? That tissue is diseased. It's not healthy. It's not like it was before. If you smash cells, smash muscles, smash vessels, if you smash them, they're in a state of dis-ease. They're not healthy. So physical rupture can cause a weakened state, a weakened body as well. But the top two are a big deal as far as our everyday lifestyle healthy choices. Who chooses for you? You do. Nobody chooses for you. You choose for yourself. Every one of you. If you eat good food or not eat good food. If you get adjusted or not get adjusted. If you exercise or not exercise. So in comes the fear and the drive from fear in the newspaper articles, in the radio, and the MD, and the pharmaceutical companies, and the magazines, if I didn't say that, the advertising. You know there's more money spent on marketing and advertising than there is in research and development in the pharmaceutical company? Honestly, that is an honest fact. And a lot more. You can Google it and look it up. I don't know the numbers right now. It's just it's true, way true. Marketing on TV, not only just for flu vaccines and stuff like this, but for all your medications. More money spent on marketing to the layperson and the doctors, but majority to the layperson there is on research and development. That's not good. So you see headlines like this, don't you? Every year. Oh, the flu's up. It's going to be the worst flu ever. It's 250,000 people are going to die this year. All humanity urged to get your shot. Fear, fear, fear. You think that can add to some of that stress of people? Maybe, how about the people that just think about disease all the time? Oh, I don't want to get sick. I hope I don't get sick. What do you mean? You think you hope you don't get sick. It's not something you pray on. How do you not get sick? You don't get sick by doing well. How do you do well? Making choices, getting adjusted, exercising, eating good food, drinking water, being properly hydrated, and taking control of your mental thoughts, how you react to events in life. Each and every one of us can stand right next to an event and interpret it two different ways. One person can be extremely reactive and totally stress them out, and the other person doesn't. And it can be just like in a family. It doesn't have to be two people that don't have the same tie to it. You decide how you react and respond to events. Look at things how they are, not worse than they are. So every year, and this is just one that I Googled. This was out of the New York Times, January 12th, 1990. But I could go and Google every year. I just Googled, I wanted to go back at least 10 years. Every year the article says the same thing. The winter scourge of influenza has made its appearance this year. So again, if that flu has that season, January and February, or December, I don't care, whatever you want to call it, where does he go in the spring and summer? Does he hibernate? Where does he go? Where does he go? Do you think he's like the deer and he has a rut in November and then he's mating then or something? Where does he go? Why is there a flu season? Do you know he's not even alive? Do you know that the virus is not a live, living thing? It's a piece of protein. RNA and DNA piece of protein. There's no cytoplasm, there's no cellular division, there's no nucleus. It's a piece of protein. You know how they identify them under a microscope? By their shape. That's all it is. Not alive. Bacteria are alive. Viruses are not. It's just a piece of protein, you guys. That's all it is.
So why do they say that people died from the flu?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
The winter scourge of influenza has made its early appearance this year, already striking hard in Texas. Oh. Well, why? Was it cold in Texas? Oh my gosh. Striking in Texas. So where did it come from in the first place? So when they give the flu shot and they're picking 1, 2, or 3 viruses to put in this flu shot, where are they picking them from? Asia. Shanghai. So the scientists are in Shanghai in the spring deciding which 3 viri they're going to put in the shot. They're going to shoot in all these people that's going to make it to Texas on the boat or something or on the plane, and they get them. They're going to get everybody. How does that? Common sense, you got to common sense. Does that make any sense to you? Think, use your head. Health officials warn that the strain of the flu virus identified in virtually all outbreaks is particularly dangerous from the disease. The flu vaccine available this year, there's going to be a shortage. They always put that in there. There's not going to be enough. Hurry and get in line. Get your flu shot. They're not going to have enough for everybody. In Houston and Dallas, they're just loaded up in the hospitals, and they're just overflowed with these people with flu. Well, let me get to this part first. The situation has eased somewhat. Hospital officials say this week that still providing flu to patients from late into the night. How about this? To some extent or another, it's now basically all over the country, and it seems to have gotten around several weeks earlier. Oh, he's faster than he was last year. Oh, geez. We're in trouble now. He made it from Asia to Texas, but guess what? So far, there have been no reports in New York City. He hasn't got there yet. He hasn't got to New York City. Just read this article. Are you kidding me? He made it to Texas, and he's hurting all these people. This viri, this guy, it's this guy he came from. Oh, here he is down here. The strain of flu is in the major outbreaks. He's known as A. Shanghai. That's the one. A. Shanghai made it here, not B. A. Shanghai, not H1N1, whatever. It's the same deal. It's not the cause. Normally, the flu season starts in mid-January and lasts through early spring, but this year, a major outbreak began developing in Texas even before Christmas. The flu's early arrival does not necessarily mean that it will be over sooner. Nope, it's going to probably last longer, because guess what? It's the same stuff. But I could show you, we could Google an article like this every year, all the way back to 19 whatever. There was another one that I wanted to put up. I should have put up. It was from like 1977. It says the same thing. Pick me. This is from CDC's website. The influenza's viruses in the seasonal flu vaccine are selected each year based on surveillance, based on forecasts about what virus is most likely to cause illness in the coming season. WHO recommends specific vaccine viruses for inclusion of influenza, but then each individual country makes its own decision. Every country. So every group of scientists, maybe they all go for a big party over in Shanghai, and what are you guys going to do? What are you going to do? Well, I don't know. We think these 3 are going to make it all the way to Texas. Should be included in the influenza vaccine license of our country. In the United States, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration determines which vaccine viruses will be used and licensed. Does that make any sense? How are you even going to predict this? If you're a gambling guy and you had to bet on 3 of them out of 5,000, you can lay down some money in Vegas on that. But these guys are, and they're shooting them into bajillions of doses into people. What do you think if there was bookies on this stuff, seriously, and they were betting on the 3 of the, what are your chances of getting it right? Like the lottery. 0. All right. Let's go into this part. 10 reasons why not to get the flu shot, and we'll get into more of it too as far as the whole flu thing. I just kind of picked 10. I could talk about this for a long time. There's a total lack of real evidence that young children even benefit from flu shots. A systematic review of 51 studies involving 260,000 children aged 6 to 23 months found no evidence that the flu vaccine is any more effective than a placebo. It's actually more toxic, because you're shooting some very toxic stuff in their bodies, and we'll get to that too. Medical journals have published thousands of articles revealing that injecting vaccines can actually lead to serious health problems, including harmful immunological responses and a host of other infections. This further increases the body's susceptibility to the disease and the vaccines it was supposed to protect in the first place, because it's beating the body down. It's creating more toxicity in the bucket. The bucket's already sick because most of these people are choosing 6 lifestyles, and then you shoot the vaccine and it's even more toxic. There's some very toxic stuff in the shot. Ever noticed how some people get vaccinated within a day or a week, developing runny noses, cold, sinus infections, ear infections, bronchiolitis? The reason is the flu virus introduced in their bodies, which is dead on the shot but then live in the mist, but then also the toxicity which creates these symptoms. It also indicates immunosuppression, lowering the immunity because it's challenging the immune system. The flu vaccine actually did not immunize but sensitize the body against the virus. It's a known fact that the flu vaccines contain strains of the flu virus along with other ingredients. Now think about the impact such a vaccine can have over someone with a suppressed immune system, like maybe an elderly. If you have a disease that's already lowering your body's ability to fight a virus in the first place, taking the flu shot will put your body in danger of getting the full effects of the flu and make you even more susceptible to pneumonia and other diseases. And when we talk about the deaths, we'll get to this again, but just while it's in my head, well, what about all the people that they say die from the flu? They don't die from the flu. If you look at CDC's website, if you really look at the statistics, 1,600 people a year, 1,800, 1,600, when they tell you it's 250,000 people a year, a lot of those people are dying from secondary illnesses. They'll call it, again, it's the name of a disease, pneumonia, or bronchitis, or different things like this. When you name a disease or name a condition, you guys, remember, that's a word. That's a diagnosis. Some smart man in a white coat gave you a diagnosis. He called or named your disease. How does he get that name? He names it from a group of symptoms that you're complaining of. And from different tests that medically they decided that the people with this same diagnosis showed these positive results for these tests. So you have a diagnosis because you have a group of symptoms. You have a group of symptoms because you have dis-ease within the body or malfunction. Think about the way I'm saying this differently. Dis-ease within the body, not disease. You have dis-ease, lack of balance, lack of ease, or malfunction. You have dis-ease and malfunction because you have interference. You have interference with the system within the body. You have interference because you have subluxation nerve impingement, but they're also interference with your ecosystem because the toxic nutrition you've been putting in it. And you have nerve impingements because you have physical stress, mental stress, emotional stress, and chemical stress. So that's what the real cause comes down to. Even the toxic nutrition, what it causes in this dump, when you're filling up this bucket, as it challenges the body to work harder, that causes subluxation, which is nerve interference. So what it all comes down to me. Okay, let me go on. Sorry for bouncing back and forth with my head tonight. The flu vaccines contain mercury. Oh, but I thought they said they took that out. Nope. Correct.
Right.
A heavy metal known to be hazardous for human health. The amount of mercury contained in a multi-dose flu shot is 250 times higher than the maximum allowable daily exposure limit. 250 times higher. Mercury toxicity can cause memory loss, depression, ADD, oral health problems, digestive imbalances, respiratory problems, cardiovascular diseases, and many more. Many more such serious illnesses. There's mounting evidence that the flu shots can cause Alzheimer's disease. One report shows that people who received the flu vaccine each year for 3 to 5 years had a 10 times greater chance of developing Alzheimer's than people who did not have any flu shots. It's because of the mercury and the aluminum. Also, with the age of immune system weakness, thus lowering the ability to fight off infections, introducing the flu virus in bodies of others that could have been dangerous. So the guy's name is Dr. Hugh Fudenberg. He's the 13th most quoted immunobiologist, immunogeneticist of all time. He has over 850 peer-reviewed journals out there in his name, and he said that if you have the flu shot consecutively for more than 3 to 5 years, you have a 10 times higher chance than if you had 1, 2, or no shot at all. Very toxic to the body. Not a good thing to have in the body. The Center for Disease Control appoints a 15-member advisory committee on immunization practices. This committee is responsible for deciding, these are the dudes that go over to Shanghai and get their game on, who should be vaccinated each year. Almost all ACIP have a financial interest in immunizations. Uh-oh. Front-row money. It's all about the money and has very little to do with the health and well-being. It's terrible. It's terrible. The very people pushing the vaccine stand to make billions of dollars. This itself creates a doubt on how effective these flu vaccines really are. How come I've been in practice for 15 years, and when I'm teaching people about health and where health comes from, and when they're sick, I encourage them to come in and get adjusted, right? To turn the power on so their body has 100% potential to heal. How come I've never been sick? How come I've never missed a day of work for being sick with a flu or a cold? Because it's not the seed, it's the soil. It's the terrain. It's the environment. I could care less. What about the Navy guys that they poked, prodded, sprayed on their food, everything else, and the results were non-applicable? How do daycare providers and school teachers of the kindergarten and first graders even survive? Are they not exposed to sick little kids, runny noses all the time? How do they even survive? Do they wear the masks? Do they wear masks at preschool and kindergarten and first grade? No, they don't. They scare the hell out of those little kids. How do the nurses and doctors survive? Because now they're making, in the last 2 years, made it mandatory that these professionals get the shot. Do you think that's how they survive? How do they survive earlier than 5 years ago? How do they survive? Because it's not the germ that causes the dis-ease. It's the state of the body. And it's not the lack of a flu shot. Research shows that the overuse of flu vaccine and drugs like Tamiflu and Relenza can actually alter flu viruses and cause them to mutate in even a more deadly strain. What about even antibiotics and bacteria? Don't you guys understand this stuff has been on headlines for the last 40 years? This stuff's mutating and changing, and now we're going to get these superbugs. We already have. Couple this with drug-resistant strains, and you have virtually no benefit with much risk. How can you have an outbreak of things like... I'll go there. How can you have an outbreak of things like pertussis, whooping cough, in a demographic that's like 95% vaccinated? How's that work? I thought they were immune. I thought they got the shot. There's enough evidence that shows that the ingredients present in the flu vaccine can actually cause serious neurological disorders. In the 1976 swine flu outbreak, many who got the flu shots developed permanent nerve damage. Flu vaccines can contain many harmful materials, including detergent, mercury, formaldehyde, and strains of live flu virus. Is this what you want to put in your body? Trying to guess what strain to vaccinate against each season has proved to be no more effective than a guessing game. Duh. This has been very true in the recent years with H1N1 strain. Moreover, getting multi-shots will only prove more dangerous as different strains of viruses and harmful ingredients are induced in your body. This year it's H2N3V. It's so the influenza virus, when they say lives in pigs, swine flu, birds, avian, bird flu, and humans, is who they say can carry this virus. How often are you around the pigs? How often are you around the birds, like hanging out like bird handler? You're not a bird handler. How often do you handle a bird? But you're humans. How about the environment we live in? What kind of environment does a pig live in? Dirt and muck and yuck. And how about a bird? Does the pig and the bird have a trash man that comes to their house on Mondays like my place and pick up my trash? Does the bird and the pig have a house like I do that has actually a stool and a shower? Does the bird and the pig actually have this thing in our kitchen called a refrigerator that I put my food in, and it takes care of my food, it keeps it cold, and then I cook it on a stove or an oven? Does the bird or a pig have soap and shower maybe every day or every other day, God forbid? No. We live in a whole different world than the bird and the pig, you guys. We live in a whole different circumstances of hygiene. Uh-oh. The 2009 package insert for Novartis Monovalent vaccine, which was leaked on the internet, created a huge uproar. Why? Because the side effects stated in the package insert, stated on the insert, include Guillain-Barré syndrome, anaphylactic shock, vasculitis, and get this, death. Side effects to the flu shot. You know what Guillain-Barré syndrome is? Paralysis. Paralysis from basically the waist down. Happens all the time after vaccinations. Read about Gardasil. The Gardasil vaccination with healthy, very, very healthy young ladies. Guillain-Barré is a big deal after that shot. Anaphylactic shock, vasculitis, and get this, death. A study conducted by The Lancet. So these are medical journals. This isn't a naturopathic, chiropractic, vitamin and mineral salesman journal. This is their stuff. In 2010, brought out some startling revelations about the effectiveness of flu shots. The study involved a control group of 13,000 adults who were not vaccinated. The group was monitored to see if participants had been infected by the influenza virus, but 97% remained uninfected. 97%. That's a pretty good grade in Spanish class. That's an A. 97%. You passed. You did really well. You did more than pass. Okay? How about more? A study published in October 2008 issue of Archives of Pediatric and Adolescent Medicine, their journal, found that vaccinating young children against the flu had no impact on flu-related hospitalizations or doctor visits during a two-week flu, during 2 recent flu seasons. The researchers concluded that significant influenza vaccine effectiveness cannot be demonstrated for any season, age, or setting examined. It's their journal. Then why are they, pediatric, still poking the kids with the shot? It's their journal. Do they recommend it? Yes. Do they do it? Yes. But their journal just told me that it's not effective.
Do they read their journal?
I do. Research published in the American Journal of Respiratory and Critical Care Medicine also confirms that there have been no decrease in deaths from influenza or pneumonia in the elderly, despite the fact that the vaccination coverage among the elderly has increased from 15% in 1980 to 65% now. Cha-ching. Exactly, cha-ching. And how are they getting this information out to the elderly about you better get your flu shot? TV, newspaper, Reader's Digest, the MD, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Because they're scaring the hell out of them. Remember the fear thing? The headlines. What does media run on? Fear or good news? Is the newspaper full of good news or bad news? Bad news. Is the 6 o'clock and the 10 o'clock news full of good news or bad news? Bad news. Bad news sells. That's what people watch and they get attracted to and they get dug into. I don't watch that news. It also creates a bad mental state in your head when I mean, it's good to be informed, but come on. It's not good, because it's all bad news. In 2007, researchers with the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, and the National Institutes of Health published this conclusion in the Lancet Infectious Diseases. We conclude that the frailty selection bias and use of nonspecific endpoints such as all-cause mortality have led cohort studies to greatly exaggerate vaccine benefits. Those are big words and big stuff to wrap your head around. They're telling you they greatly exaggerate the benefits of the vaccine. Why? Money, 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 money. Do you know in 1986 there was a government-passed law, the National Vaccine Injury Act, that says that if you or your child is injured by a vaccine, you cannot sue the manufacturer of that vaccine. You cannot go after Merck and these other guys and sue them because you're injured. You have to go to get out of some slush fund in the government for some money for some recourse, and guess what? That's not going to happen. They have full reign to do whatever the hell they want to do. And you know what it also said in that same Injury Act? That only U.S. companies can produce the vaccine. Only our guys can make the money. Only our guys can make the vaccine. Only the guys that lobby to us can make this all happen. Okay? Flulavol, influenza virus vaccine. Do you guys know what this is? This is the information out of the package that comes with the drug. 2011-2012 formula. This indication is based on immune response elicited by Fluval, and there have been no controlled trials adequately demonstrating a decrease in influenza disease after vaccination with Fluval. It says it right there on their disclosure. There has been no controlled trials adequately demonstrating a decrease in influenza disease. It's right there on the small print.
Which you get after you get the...
No, you can get informed. You're supposed to have informed consent. They're supposed to give it to you beforehand. Yeah, they don't. It's supposed to be informed consent. They're supposed to tell you the stuff ahead of time. It's the law. They don't. They're breaking the law. Informed consent. It's part of medicine. They're supposed to tell you ahead of time what the effects might be. Or what it's good for. Intramuscular injection. That's what he's going to do with it. He knows how to do that. And he's going to give you a 5 mm multi-dose. Warning. Flu shot ingredients include mercury, antifreeze, phenol, animal blood, animal viruses, and formaldehyde. This is just a partial list. Okay, so I went and got the list. The list. This is off CDC's website. Influenza vaccine, chicken embryo, calcium chloride, neomycin, potassium phosphate, chicken embryo, egg protein, formaldehyde, formalin, octoxinol 10, thimerosal, chicken embryo, egg protein, formaldehyde, thimerosal. Okay, you like, I mean, some people are like, well, Bing, I don't know what that means. Or is that stuff bad? Aluminum, a neurotoxin that's been linked to Alzheimer's. Triton X10, a detergent. Phenol, carbolic acid, ethylene glycols, antifreeze, a disinfectant used to kill or stop growth of STDs, a vaginal spermicide. Thimerosal is 49% mercury by weight. This is all in the shot. This is what's needed in there to suspend the virus and keep things viable. And they're shooting you in your bloodstream past several immune system steps directly to the blood. And your body has to now deal with this toxicity that they're shooting into the blood, along with your toxic diet from Halloween to New Year's Eve. Some people just get so brainwashed they think that that thing that they're shooting into them, if they just by chance roll the dice, they'll back to the Vegas thing, they just don't get the flu that year, they think that the flu shot is what saved them. No, your body, your amazing body and its healing potential from within is what saved you and had to save you bigger and badder than ever because you got all this toxicity in your body. I remember reading once, it was more about the child vaccinations, but there was a website of this group that had out there of stuff, and the amount that was in the 36 shots that now they shoot the kids with. In the 1970s it was 10, now it's 36 shots total. They had a mix of just the stuff in the same amount that is titered, remember, going into a little baby's body. It's a little baby's body, and they just use that same amount, and they would give any graduating medical student, they would pay their student loans off if they drink it. The same amount that would go into the baby. Not tighter to their body and making it bigger. They're a bigger body. And they would pay off their student loans, $150,000 if they drink it. And then every month they kept on making it go up by $5,000 like bonus until the first person would come and drink it. Nobody did it. Wow. That's a lot of money. What are they scared of? Pharmaceutical profits from swine flu-related drugs alone have soared, with earnings between 10 billion and 15 billion profits, you guys, in 2009, according to estimates from the investment bank JP Morgan. Profits. That's a lot of money. In the first quarter of 2010 alone, the U.S. federal government representatives received $19 million per day from lobbyists, and over $1 billion in total lobbyist spending, a large chunk of the money coming from the healthcare sector. Who's in bed with who? The partnership between government, health agencies, and big pharma based on ideology, profit-making, and bad science is moving closer and closer to discriminating against those who want to exercise their informed consent rights when it comes to making voluntary vaccination decisions. The healthcare workers are making it mandatory. Who's next? How can they force them to do that? It doesn't they have their own? Don't you have your own right if what somebody shoots in your body or doesn't shoot in your body? Isn't my own decision? It's my body. But if you want a job here, sir, you need to shoot this in your body. Really? Really?
Well, it's the same thing with the schools. Like if you don't get your kid, if you don't do the progressive shots from birth until 5, like getting into school is nearly impossible. Well, more like votes.
That's what they say.
Right. That's not true. In the state of Iowa, we have a religious exemption. In 13 states in our nation, there's philosophical exemptions. But they're trying to take those rights away from us, too, in the government with the bills that are going through. Choices. Pandemic preparedness from the chiropractic records of 1918 influenza epidemic, state of Iowa. During the 1918 influenza epidemic, Davenport, Iowa, medical doctors treated almost 5,000 flu cases with 274 deaths. At the same time, 150 chiropractor students and faculty at Palmer School of Chiropractic treated 1,600 cases during the influenza epidemic with only 1 death.
Wow.
Power on. Nervous system functioning optimally, creating full potential of the body and its God-given potential and it's all of its Mother Nature's glory and its innate intelligence to function the way it's supposed to function. You have something in your body called an immune system. What's its job? To fight infections. If you break your bone and you put a cast on your bone, does the cast heal you? Yes or no?
No.
No.
If you cut your finger and I put a Band-Aid on it, does the Band-Aid heal you? Yes or no? If you come in contact with a germ, does your body have the potential to heal you? Yes or no? If it's working at its full potential. But what if you're subluxated? What if you're extremely toxic in your nutrition? What if you're not exercising, which is God's gift to move your lymphatic system and get your trash trucks moving out of your body? And what if your mental energy sucks? And what if you are in an epidemic and there's a lot of people that are in trouble and dying and stuff like that? Do you think that increases your happiness or decreases your happiness and creates more stress on you? The state of Iowa reports medical doctors treated 93,000 influenza patients with 6,000 deaths, or 1 out of 5. The rest of the state, except for Davenport, reported 5,000 patients treated with chiropractic care with a loss of 6, which is 1 in 101 in 800 during the influenza epidemic. Wonder why. This was 1918. Did they have refrigeration? Ice boxes and stuff like that, but like plug-in refrigeration. Ice boxes. Did everybody have indoor plumbing? Did everybody have a trash man that came on Monday to pick up their stuff at the house?
No.
Did everybody have indoor showers and could shower on a regular basis? 1918. 1895, when chiropractic was discovered in D.D. Palmer and like White's Company and stuff like this, it was pretty cool because I went to a function right for White's here in Des Moines, and they had what was in the headlines when White's Company was formed, like in 1897, the Spirit Lake Massacre. 1897, so 20 years later we're having this influenza epidemic. Do you understand that that was a different world then than it is in 2012 right now? But is the newspaper still giving us a tremendous fear and scare of an epidemic that can fly across the United States, starting in Texas, and working very slowly to New York City because it hasn't ended up there because it's mid-December? That they just slam this fear into people with the headlines on the newspaper. Educated decision. It's time to review the evidence and decide if you're going to listen to the media and public health authorities and choose to receive the flu vaccine for yourself or family or not. It's your health. One of your basic freedoms as a human being is your right to decide on what you put into your own body. Our body is a machine for living. It is organized for that. It is nature. Let life go on it unhindered and let it defend itself. It will do more than if you paralyze it by encumbering it with remedies. Have you have more faith in a spoonful of medicine than the power that animates the living world? B.J. Palmer. Choose well, Vince Hassel. That's my talk for tonight and my information for you. And again, I could have went slide after slide after slide after slide, more information, but I tried to kind of just do a little bit of an outline and try to hit the highlights. That's all I can do. Because there's more information out there. You can go and gather it. It's not hidden from anybody. That's it. But you have to understand where health comes from. It comes from our choices. It doesn't come from bad luck or from germs. Our body is capable of fighting anything you want to talk to me about. Anything. As long as it's functioning optimally, which is nerve function and the nutrients you feed it, the movement you give it, and the way that you think. All right. Questions, comments, concerns?
So, I'm assuming that this is the same for, it's not just the flu virus, it's any, like, shingles. I mean, like,
Yes.
anything like that.
So what is shingles? Shingles is a herpes virus, the chicken pox, varicella, what is it? Zoster, herpes zoster, varicella virus, herpes zoster, and it expresses itself. Do you know anything about shingles?
I do.
Yep.
I'm actually-
So does it go all over the body?
No.
Where does it go?
I know 3 different people and it's been in 3 different spots.
Yeah, but is it very, very delineative and like a line, like across the body?
In the individuals, yes.
Yes.
Goes along the nerve.
It's a nerve root starving for oxygen. So as a nerve root has subluxation, has nerve pressure, impinging the nerve. What causes disease? Nerve impingement. Could all of us in here be a carrier of the herpes virus right now?
Yes.
I think we all are.
We all are,
Yeah.
the majority of us. How about cold sores, chicken pox, shingles, they're all the same virus.
Mhm.
How many people get cold sores? Lots of people. But why does that thing, so when they get the cold sore, do they get it on their whole mouth? Or do they just get it on like one part of their lip? Why?
I don't know.
Does the virus not touch the top lip? Why is he just on the bottom leg? Because it's the nerve that feeds that. The same nerve that feeds the bottom lip doesn't feed the top lip. So when they get shingles, doesn't it express itself right down the nerve root? The answer is yes. You can see it. It just follows what's called a dermatome, which is a section of skin controlled by a nerve. So when the nerve has pressure on it from subluxation, that nerve root is starving for oxygen, the herpes expresses itself on that nerve root.
I do get cold sores, but it's like when I am
Stress.
way wiped out. Just
Way wiped out and
totally-
stressed. Your system's beat
Right,
down.
right.
Health
And-
equals 100% nerve potential. So how do we get subluxation? Physical stress, mental stress, emotional stress, and chemical stress. When your body's wiped out because you've been working too hard and you're exhausted, you've been staying up late, when you're in that time of exhaustion and working hard and staying up late, are you getting your exercise in or no?
No, I'm probably
Are you
not
eating better?
right.
Are you eating
No.
good food or bad food?
Bad
Are you eating more caffeine and more sugar or less?
More.
Is your body more toxic or less toxic? More. It's common sense, you guys. Common sense corner. Think about it. You're not deficient in pills, potions, and lotions. You're deficient in Mother Nature's potential of your body to be optimal. How do you get it back there? You get adjusted, you eat good food, you exercise. Even when it's the worst of times, exercise is your way to get rid of the cortisol and all the buildup that happens in your endocrine system. If you're skipping your exercise, you're shooting yourself in the foot. It's part of your physiological response for your body to stay in balance. It doesn't matter if you're being scared by the bear in the woods when you're gathering your berries or if your work sucks and your boss sucks. It's this, your body physiologically responds the same to those stresses. And when you're running away from the bear, you were burning up that cortisol, or if you were deciding to fight the bear, which is crazy, you were burning up that cortisol, but guess what? You don't fight the boss or fight work, and you don't run away from work because you have all the stress and you got your job to do and you're a good person, but you skip your exercise. So you're not doing what physiologically your body's supposed to do.
So they're really pushing the shingles virus
Of
now.
course they are, because they're making bajillions of dollars. It's all about money. And they've got people, they've got the American society dumbfounded that their body's stupid and it takes pills, potions, and shots to keep it alive and healthy. It's not true.
I didn't really see that. I can't think of my question. So why is chiropractic care not covered by insurance? I know this is like a whole other.
Same thing, it's all about money. So it's all about politics.
Because
It's
the
politics.
chiropractic, the folks at Palmer are lobbying $1 billion a day.
Because we don't make bajillions of dollars over profits on drugs that cost pennies that we're selling for lots of money. It's a whole different world. Their system is rich, 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 rich. Most chiropractors we're each on our own and individual and trying to help people the best that we can and educate people and taking time away from our families to educate and do the right thing for our bodies. I don't have a relationship with the insurance company. The medical doctors do. The hospitals do. They're all in the same business. Insurance doesn't make you healthy. Health insurance is not health insurance, it's sick insurance.
Right.
They only want to pay when you're sick. They don't pay for your gym membership. Why don't they pay for your gym membership? Isn't that where health comes from? If it's called health insurance, why don't they pay for your gym membership? Why don't they pay for your filtered water? Why don't they pay for your organic food? Because it's not health insurance, it's sick insurance. They only want to pay in a crisis. And they don't even want to pay then. A lot of insurances fight and whatever. They're in business to make money too. They want to be profitable. And sickness is a business. So if everybody was well, when's the last time I've been to the medical doctor? 20-some years ago? If they were relying on me to keep them open, their doors are shut.
Right.
How about my family? They're not getting our business. Their doors would be shut. Sickness is a business.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say having the whole ear thing with Grayson is
Yes.
the shocker for me. Is that, you have a 3-year-old with tubes and you're told that if they have ear infections, they need to get tubes, and you know, we visit Vince, but I was thinking, but that's different, you know, and then he has,
Which
he
is-
has a hole in his ear, and they're like, well, it's an easy procedure, just a little patch on it. And then I tell Vince, you did your best not to blow a gasket.
But it goes in fads too. So the thing right now with children is more ear infections and ear surgery, ear tubes. What was it probably like in the mid-70s? Wasn't it
Taking your tonsils
taking your
out.
tonsils out? How come they don't do that anymore?
Because they found out you need them.
Then you need them.
People who have had their tonsils out have more sinus issues.
Because you need them. God didn't put in spare parts. All those parts are in there for a reason. It's like somebody that gets their gallbladder taken out. I was asking them, I say, why did they say it had to come out? What wasn't functioning right? How's it functioning now? Yeah, you can live without a gallbladder, you can live without testicles too, but I'm going to keep mine. God didn't put in spare parts. They're all there for a reason. Why was the gallbladder diseased in the first place?
Bad diet, I can tell you that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know that.
And poor nerve supply.
That
So-
was before you.
Who educated you?
Well, it was even before I knew you.
Back in the 90s, early 90s, they were doing a lot of hysterectomies.
Yes?
Well, I was one of those people that needed one, and the doctor said, while we're in there, we're going to take your appendix out
Sure.
because you don't need it, and that'll save you a major surgery down the road.
It's
Yeah.
just common sense corner. Does that make any sense to you?
It didn't
God
to
put in
me,
spare
but-
parts?
The doctor's telling me that you don't need your appendix,
Right.
so
And you know what? You didn't need the hysterectomy either.
probably not.
Why was that? Why was those tissues diseased in the first place? Nerve pressure.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
because that's
hospice
excruciating
to-
back there.
Yeah, and right, nerve pressure coming from the low back, and poor nerve supply to that tissue for many years.
Mhm.
And when they studied nerve impingement, there was University of Denver on rabbits, took their nerve that goes to the stomach, the sixth thoracic nerve, and they put 10 millimeters of mercury of pressure on that nerve, and it decreased the function of the stomach by like 20%. And so if it stays that way over time, and you have that decreased function, you think that that tissue is going to become diseased, non-functioning, malfunctioning. Of course it is.
My dad could never get the flu shot because it always made him so ill every time he had it. So he never had it. Which
His
is
body was smart. Really smart, you know. But different bodies react to things differently, and the reason why is because we have different. We're each our own person. We're all unique. They broke the mold. I mean, we're miracles. And so each body, even though it functions much the same, we've all had different lives. It's not genetics. It's lifestyles. From day one on, we've all had different falls, different slips, different stresses, different nutrition, different buildup of stuff. So we're all different in our person. We're all miracles. So that's why nobody responds the same as anybody else. We respond similarly, but nobody responds exactly the same. That's why some people can be highly reactive to like a shot, or highly reactive to a medicine, or highly reactive to everything else, because we're all unique. Mother Nature's gifts. But if we're choosing the right parts of the equation to live our potential to the fullest, which is 100% properly functioning nervous system, diet from the earth and real, movement and exercise and mental thoughts, I think our health can ride on that top shelf the whole time. If you're missing any one of them in your equation, your health's going to suffer. Guaranteed. No matter how old you are. Guaranteed.
We haven't had flu shot.
You're going to be able to remember that too, because you're not going to have Alzheimer's. All right, that's it.
Thank you.
It's been good stuff.